And we're back with another episode of the AC Milan Zone podcast. I always forget to do this at the beginning, so I'll do it now. We got some great feedback about the last episode, talking about the Napoli game, of course. So thank you all. We love interacting with you. So please, if you're watching this on YouTube, take a second, subscribe, leave a like button. It helps us a lot. But today, we're talking about another big game. Milan will have a few of those coming up between now and the next few weeks. We're talking about the Juve game. I'm joined by my usual comrade, Oscar. Oscar, thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having me again. Nice to be
But
back.
we're not alone. For the first time this season, a special guest. You might know her from her spicy takes on Twitter or Instagram. She is the go-to source for all English Juventus, Pescara, Serie B news. Lex, thank you for joining us through the time zones.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here. It's great to see you again and great to meet you, Oscar. So I'm looking forward to covering this thrilling Juve Milan game.
Yes, in a way for us, it's a little less awkward. It would have been very awkward for us, especially the two salty Milan boys, if we would have lost, or it would have been very courageous for you to jump on after a Juve loss. But a 0-0 kind of makes everyone happy. And maybe we'll start from there. I want to get both of your opinions, but maybe we'll start with a guest. Who do you think walks out of this 0-0 happier, victorious in a tie, if you will?
Oh man, that's a tough question. The way I saw it, I was like, I don't think either team deserved a point. I don't know if you guys are going to disagree or not, but that's how I felt about the game. I think it was pretty fair to split it even. I think both teams had serious chances and both goalkeepers made some great saves. I would say maybe the only thing would be the Pulisic penalty kick. Missed opportunity would probably have been the most high percentage goal scoring opportunity, although that Jonathan David slip could also have been up there.
We'll talk about
So
him.
I,
He's been slipping a lot. I want to know what you think. What you think of him, a fellow Canadian as
yeah,
well.
yeah. So that's what I'd have to say. I don't know, Oscar, what do you think?
Yeah, no, I think I'd have to agree. There were plenty of not plenty, but some good chances for both teams. Some of them were half chances. The Jonathan David slip was a very good chance. The Gatti straight onto Mignan was also a very good chance. If I think, and we spoke about this on a previous podcast, if you told me 2 weeks ago that we walked away with 4 points from Napoli and Juve, I'd be pretty happy. But, with the layout chances and a missed penalty, it is slightly gutting to go away without the 3 points, especially when the chances fell. Layout towards the end of the game, Pulisic a bit earlier on. But a point each, I think, is fair. Both teams, I think, with the second half, Milan played better. Juve played better in the first half. So a point each is perhaps fair if you look at the opportunities, and it wasn't one team dominating the other. So yeah, I'm happy with 1 point, to be honest, at this point in the season.
Yeah, I think a lot of people maybe got spoiled early on by some big games, especially maybe on the Juve side with the crazy game against Inter and then the Champions League game. So they see a 0-0 and they're like, oh, it's snooze fest. But if you're an experienced Serie A fan, you've seen some actual serious snooze fest, and I don't think this was quite it. I thought the first half was bubbly, not incredible amount of chances, but some good chances on either side. And then I think the big point, which we can get to, the big turning point was obviously the penalty. It was almost like Juve got, all of a sudden really close to the idea of like, hey, if we concede here, Allegri's Milan barely gets shots on target, so it would be tough to come back. And Milan all of a sudden, thought maybe they go up and now we don't all of a sudden, and we have to deal with that emotional blowback. And it's almost like both teams said, okay, you know what? After this happened, big shock. Maybe we're both happy not to lose. But before that, I think Ozzy, you're right. The incredible Magnan saves on Gatti. Maybe it says a lot that recently Gatti has been the main chance creator for Juve. Lex, I want to know your opinion on that in a second. But I thought, we created a lot. I think the Milan mood on the players and on the fans was that, yeah, this was sort of 2 points that were left behind. Not because it's Juve away, that's always tough, but because it's a struggling Juve. It's a Juve with two of the three best players out in Thuram and Bremer, with Yildiz getting pulled early as well. So yeah, we're also a little bit at the mercy of of the late news. We've been winning or doing well. And so all of a sudden now we got to win everything. You're absolutely right, Oscar. We talked about this before heading into the Napoli and Juve game, and we said, hey, 4 points or above, would you like sign up for that before playing the games? And we said absolutely. And now all of a sudden you beat Napoli and you go on Juve and you have a chance of winning, and you're like, oh my god, we dropped 2 points against Juve in Turin. We're terrible.
Yeah.
So I think we're happy. I think Juve is probably happy as well because that 90th minute ball. If Leao puts that away, which he probably does if he's not probably back from an injury. I think both teams live with it. Lexi, what do you think of the lineup for Juve? Because I was a little bit surprised. And what do you think of the subs, especially as I said, Yildiz getting pulled relatively early? I know he's been playing a lot and he's tired, but still, big game.
Yeah, it's tough. The lineup was interesting to say the least. I just think that our right side, aside from Chico, it was nice to see Chico getting the start because we had Coop Miners there midweek in the UCL. But that right center back, I'm so sorry, Gatti and Kalulu, it's not Kalulu's natural position to play right wing back, right? So I know he covers more defensively, and maybe that's why Tudor wants to put him there, but we just get nothing attacking wise with him playing there. So that right side is not great. So that I was like not expecting much from that either way. And then as for some of the substitutions, I mean, I was upset to see no Zagrova. We're being told, I mean, like, you don't know who to believe, right? But like, we're being told from apparently his personal trainer or something that he is fit and he can play 90 minutes. And I didn't even expect him to play 90 minutes. I was just hoping to see him feature for like at least 15 or something. Like, I think he's a great super sub, just the type of player he is. He's like, he reminds me of Douglas Costa on the right wing. Like, having that type of player on the bench that you can just pull out as a wild card to come in and make something happen would have been perfect. And Yildiz being subbed out, I mean, honestly, respect to Salamaker's Tamori. They took care of that, Milan's right side, our left side, very well. So he was pretty quiet for most of the match. So not like, too super upset over it, but I do think that it would have been nice to see him finish off the game. And I never like to see him subbed out, of course, right? He's like my favorite player to watch, but yeah, those are my thoughts overall in the lineup. Nothing too different than what we usually see, but yeah, I would have liked to have seen Zagrova feature.
Yeah, no, I was surprised that he didn't as well, because when I saw him in the Champions League, it was still early, as you said, in his fitness journey back to full fitness. But you could tell that the dribbling is there, and he's got that spark that a natural dribbler has. For us, obviously, Oscar, the lineup was always going to be that. The subs were pretty much going to be that. We knew that Leao was going to come on. We saw Nkuku for a little while. He was maybe the only one that was a little bit, could have didn't feel. Obviously, he played only a few minutes, but I didn't feel like he left a big imprint on the game. Ruben Loftus-Cheek came on. It was always going to be either him or Ricci, because we knew that Rabiot and Modric were going to play the whole game. And interesting question for you, maybe, Oscar, is do you feel like someone really underperformed? Because I was thinking, of course, you see Pulisic shooting an abysmal penalty. But, he was alive in the game. He was doing well. He created some chances. Leao should have definitely scored at least one of the two big chances he had. But again, he came on and he looked good. I feel like if the penalty goes in or Leao scores and we win, it's green across the board for us. I felt like everyone did their job, some better than others, but even Santi Jimenez felt more alive than in previous games. We saw him go on a little dribble run and then a shot right at the keeper, but still that was quite good, a good header. Did you feel like there was someone who underperformed? I know you were not so pleased with Leao last time, and by all means Allegri wasn't this game. It was a lot of yelling. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think across the board, both the substitutes and the starting 11, they all played well. None of them underperformed. You have to put it into context, right? For example, Leao, he's played very little this season. Obviously, just come back from injury. This is only the second game now, coming back with 50 minutes in total. So I will give him the benefit of the doubt there that he's just trying to, grease up the gears and get going. His finishing has been a topic of discussion on this podcast for the past 3-4 years, and I thought it got better last season. But again, it feels like it's the last 10%. But again, benefit of the doubt for being out injured for a little over a month. The only kind of concern, and again, it's in context, Bartisagi, he's not featured for us a lot the last season and a half.
Yeah.
Now he's come in and performed well for who he is, 19-year-old. Hasn't featured all too much for the Milan first team. I was a bit worried when he got the yellow card because I thought Conceição sometimes had him on strings, and you could see that after the yellow card, he was certainly getting a bit more cautious going against Conceição. But luckily, Conceição got subbed off.
Yeah,
So,
which was I
but I
thought
thought,
killer for you.
yeah,
I think that was very on it from the
yeah.
beginning.
Yeah, yeah, and because of Selemakers and Tomori putting in a very good shift, and you could see that Allegri was told them, you have to watch out for Yildiz, which is obviously great for us, not so good for Juve. Yildiz has been very good for you guys the last, well, almost a year and a half now, almost. But overall, everyone performed very well. Mignon played exceptionally well. It just hurts that we haven't re-signed him already. And Modric, Rabiot, Modric had a couple of passes that missed its
Unreal.
marker, but we're going to forgive him. Rabiot and Modric lose the ball for so little. So overall, happy with everyone.
Yeah, and I mean Modric, to me, Maignan got man of the game, and maybe that's fair. He did have an incredible save, but to me, Modric, I mean, incredible pass that causes the penalty, incredible pass that puts Leao in front of goal. He should have had two assists or one assist and one fantasy assist. Just quickly reading the chat. Oh my God, it's Lex. So thank you, Lex. You're bringing clearly new audience. It's Cliff Lex who says, who comes out better looking after this match? He personally thinks Juve because Milan was expected to win. Expected to win, okay. Maybe favorites. I don't know if I would have expected to win in Turin, but it's a fair point. Yes, to me, as to go back to that, I think Modric man of the game. I think even Lex, maybe you can jump in on this. I think even Juve fans can come out of this game and say, "Wow, a 40 is still incredible." And I think every team, and definitely Juve, could use a player like Modric right now in your midfield next to Thuram. No shade to Locatelli, but I mean you can see how he can turn this type of tight games. He can just turn him by himself with just one or two incredible passes.
Oh yeah, 100%. I would say, like you mentioned, aside from Maignan, Modric was the other player I was just completely in awe of watching him. Like I was like, wow, this is one player I would love to have wearing our colors today. He was incredible. Definitely put on a clinic in the midfield. Like you said, those two line breaking passes that basically set up two goals for Milan, like that's the type of difference maker that you want in your midfield and on your team, right? And at 40 years old, to just be running around the park like that
Yeah,
is incredible.
yeah, 90
It's truly
minutes coming in. We were wondering, does he maybe come off the bench? How many minutes does he have? And classes in the permanent, as I read in the chat, absolutely. As a non-Milan fan, there's a lot of debate on Leao. Ozzy and I are very much on the same page of, look, he's the Serie A top goal and assist leader for the past 5 years, playing as a winger, except for this year, of course. The numbers will come. Of course, he needs to put away one or two big chances, and we win the game. But he's come off a month off with a injury that turned out worse than it looked originally. I know you're a fan of him in general, but are you after the game with the haters that say, "Hey, Rafa, get off Twitch and get back on the pitch and do some more training," or do you think that's just the way it goes and he'll put him away next time? Ooh, well, Ozzy, maybe you can take that while she comes back in. She looks like she's
Yeah,
dropped
yeah,
off.
no, Twitter is a harmful place for any footballer nowadays. It just gets worse season after season. A lot of people look at a
Yeah,
sofa score rating, or just look at a stat line and think, he played terribly. And yeah, again, benefit of the doubt that he's been out. But the stats for the past 5 seasons speak for themselves. Yes, on a good Scudetto winning team, but after that, last season was absolutely abysmal from us, and he had no one to play with apart from Pulisic, who gave it his all as well. But I think it will come. It just has to be sooner rather than later, because now he's not a talent anymore. He's supposed to be a superstar, properly world class player, and it's the last 10-15% which is his finishing that needs to get there.
Yeah. All right, Lex, I'm gonna let you take this one after you dropped off quickly there. What do you think?
Yeah, sorry, I got disconnected.
No problem.
But no, great question. Honestly, I don't know. As someone who's a Juventina and doesn't watch Leao week in and week out, from my perspective, I guess it's maybe a little easier to say that, but I feel like he just gets way too much hate from the Milan fan base. Personally, I just think that as an outside perspective, and I thought that was also true from this past match. Like, yes, it was a nice pass that Modric sent in, and of course you'd like to see him score that, but considering the lack of minutes he's had and the fact he's coming back from injury, I would think I was surprised to see that he didn't really slot that away. I also think people were overrating how easy of a finish it was. I didn't think it was that easy of a finish
Yeah.
necessarily. And just again, as the opponent, when Leao was on the sidelines ready to be subbed in, like I was getting nervous. I was like, oh great, okay, here we go. You know what I mean? Like he just brings that presence to the team and brings that threat automatically, and everyone knows it. And I just think he's super talented. And even he almost scored from half. He chipped that ball that had Di Gregorio
Yeah, that
sprinting back
wasn't
into our
far at
net.
all. Yeah.
Yeah,
He was
Grigori almost got a concussion from that, hitting the post.
right. So I was like, I don't know what more Milan fans want from him. Like the guy almost scored from half, like instantly after coming on the pitch, right? So, but like I said, my perspective is someone that doesn't watch him week in and week out. And as you said, yeah, I can see the whole needing to work on like the final 10% of his game. Definitely. I can see that.
Yeah. I'll get back to you because I want to talk about the Juve striker situation because I find it to be interesting. But before that, let's do a little bit of crying for us, Aussie. The penalties. It's a topic. It now has to be discussed. Milan has missed 5 of the last 7 penalties, and that's across 4 different takers. Since 2024, we've taken 13 penalties and missed 7 of them. That's a conversion rate of 54%, which is Europe's lowest among the top leagues. There's a problem. Now, obviously, most of that comes from a couple of years with different managers, with different takers. A taker would step up, they would miss, then would switch, and that caused a lot of problems. Do you think Chris Pulisic should stay on pens?
Yeah, we have. It feels like it's a curse, but it's not really because they're just some very terrible penalties overall. Yeah, I think he should stay. I feel like we just need to just have one person take them. Penalties, I shouldn't say they're 50-50 because obviously a penalty should be favoring the shooter or the shooting team. I don't know who else we put up. I guess I saw a lot of people say Modric, but I don't recall him taking. Was he taking penalties for Real Madrid? I don't follow Real Madrid that closely.
Yeah, there was a
They've
lot of
had
takers.
there's
In the chat,
Ronaldo and them.
Cliffx, who is a really big fan of Lex, in Italian says that we
There we
found
go, yeah.
one of the best guests. So thank you both to Cliffx and to Lex. And he also says that if Rafa and Modric work right, he could be an all-time great. Obviously that's true, but not how football works. Those type of players, the Ronaldinhos of the world, need to play with a smile and have fun. And also, Rafa is a sprinter, a dribbler. You need to cool off that high speed machine, kind of like a F1 car. You can't go 90 minutes like that. But he suggests Modric. Obviously at Madrid it's kind of tough because he was always with great talents and great strikers who were looking to score. He's not bad at penalties, but he's not great. Pulisic is technically better. This is only Pulisic's second missed penalty in his career and with Milan. So I personally think Pulisic should stay. He's got good numbers. That penalty was horrific by all means. Di Gregorio was already beaten half a second before. He could have slotted in much easier.
And also because we got a new coach in Allegri over summer, I'm sure the one is that's a new coach coming in. He's going to be wanting to look at who's going to be taking penalties. Just a small detail like that, and it's the first one of the season, and yeah, Pulisic should stay on. Why not? Like you said, only second penalty miss of his career. Let's hope it's his final one for Milan at least.
Yeah, we need it because we need to start at least making like 70% of our pens. The one thing I do like about Allegri in general is his tendency towards stability. He right away said, "Yeah, of course, Pulisic should continue to take our penalties. He's our penalty taker. One miss doesn't change that." And that's refreshing because we know that the last few managers haven't been quite that solid. But was very interesting that we saw and I'm sure maybe from the Zone Italy Border cam we'll see some more of, was that Allegri as always does not watch the penalties. He turns around, Pulisic misses, and then he goes right away to his second in command and asks, how did he shoot? Did he shoot with the inside of the foot? And the guy says, yeah, over the bar. And he says, I knew it. I told him not to shoot with the inside of his foot. I told him to, go for power. And then even during the substitution and the water break, Pulisic got close to get some water, and he was like, why did you shoot with the inside of your foot? Which I found fascinating. I didn't expect a manager to have such detailed input in how a penalty is taken by a player.
He maybe he's super superstitious.
That could also be it. I mean, that definitely factors in. With Allegri and his old craziness. He did get a good, I thought, welcoming from the stadium. It's clear that Juventus fans still have a good spot in their heart for him. Is that how you feel? You're a fan of Allegri, Lex?
Now that he's not behind the bench anymore, yes. It's weird. It's like now, distance made the heart grow fonder, I guess.
Yes, that last year was rough for sure.
Instead, because definitely. And he's a funny coach, a good guy. You can tell like a lot of the players like him too. And so I'm glad he had a nice reception from everyone, because he still is like absolutely legendary at our club, right? Like the second stint doesn't change that, doesn't erase what he did previously.
No, agreed. And I was glad to see that he seemed happy. The fans seemed happy. It's always heartwarming. But now from our penalty woes, let's switch to your striker woes. I'm sorry again to pick on the Canadian, but do you have a serious David problem? He seems all out of sorts. The goals aren't coming, which is obviously a huge problem for a striker. But also beyond that, sometimes you're like, okay, the goal, like with Leao, obviously he should have scored here, but you're like, okay, we're looking good. Things are coming our way. Not very much with Jonathan. He seems to struggle, seems to slip a lot of misses. Is it too early to give up on him, or are we in that range already?
I think it's too early. I really do. I also recognize some bias because I'm Canadian. So I was like, I want him to do well, so I recognize that. But of course, like little things like the Champions League miss. I don't know if you guys saw the clip of that one against Villarreal.
Mm-hmm.
Missing that chance, missing those high percentage chances, that kills your confidence. Absolutely. And then this past mistake, not even a mistake, like just so unlucky. Like how unlucky do you have to be that you slip like that in front of goal? You know what I mean? Like it's not like he took the chance and missed the net or something from point blank range. No, he literally wiped out and never even got a chance to attempt a shot, right?
When it rains, it pours, right?
Yeah,
literally,
it's that football juju, especially with strikers, where if you're in form and it's like Vardy during the Leicester championship year, you're like every ball that he touches, he's just filled with confidence and it seems to go top bins. But it goes the other way as well, where you're like, I can't. It's almost like with Santi, we saw obviously he missed some very bad chances, and then even the one he scored in Coppa Italia, he almost missed. It was a sitter. Now obviously he's the one that was brought in for free, but still I'm sure there was commissions and the wages. And with Vlahovic, by all accounts, looking to leave the club at the end of the year, it's weird to not start him. But if you were Tudor, which I also want to ask both of you about, what would you do next game, or after the break? Is he coming off the bench, or is he playing? Especially because he can only really play up there. The main role. I wouldn't play him as one of the other two.
Yeah, I don't know. I think if I were Tudor, I would like rethink the attack. I would try something different. Like I would try two up front. I would try pairing him with a Penda, pair him with a runner. Seems to do better when he's paired with someone like that. Let him play some second striker or something. Like maybe he's not as great as the main target guy. You know what I'm saying? So I would play around with some things instead, and try and go from there, because it's been tough. Because even Vlahovic hasn't looked great starting matches. He looks better off the bench. And then Openda, it's still pretty early, but there is also a clause. I don't know if you're aware of it, but if he plays, I think 50% of the matches, we're obligated to purchase.
Okay.
Something like that. Okay. So it's tough. There's like a
they're situation. Like, okay, let's wait and see. No, okay, I see.
Yeah.
But a lot for Tudor to figure out. He's almost feeding, he's giving Thiago Motta vibes all over again. A lot of draws,
Yeah.
You played all the top teams, let's say the top three teams in Italy, and you're still up there. So you look at the table, and you're like, okay, maybe we don't have a problem. But you know, Thiago Motta didn't make it till the end of the year. Tudor has not shown any inkling of particularly good football for long stretches. Do you think he makes it until the end of the year?
It's tough. It's tough. I think like if Tudor has something going for him, it's the fact that he played at the club. So I think there's like that degree of even maybe respect or something that like maybe will give him a bit more of a chance. I don't know. So it's tough to say right now. I think if things continue going down this path, definitely he'll be his position will be in threat. Definitely, like Malta's was.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Ozzy, what do you think?
Yeah, it's a difficult one. Obviously, the second stint of Allegri didn't go very well. The Thiago Motta, this I guess Thiago Motta signing or whenever I guess whatever you want to call it, that didn't work out to go very well. And that was we were looking at Thiago Motta. I'm sure a lot of other teams in Europe were looking at Thiago Motta. He ended up at Juve, which obviously very respectable, one of the biggest teams in Italy, high wages, whatever. And that didn't work out. So maybe they're gonna take a different approach with Tudor. You're completely right in saying he's sort of a Juventus legend or former player, so maybe that gives him a benefit of a doubt. He probably knows a lot of people inside the club personally throughout all the years. So yeah, but at the same time, we were speaking about the draws, and rightly so. You've played against most of the top teams now. You haven't lost a game yet in the Serie A. Only Atalanta hasn't lost a game either in the league. So that's something going for you. But looking at what's happening on the pitch, it looks like finding the right striker duo or the right combination in general. That's probably on Tudor's to-do list in the next 2 weeks before we start playing again in 2 weekends time.
definitely.
Yeah, and then maybe it's a good segue to talk about the mess that Serie A is turning into. Napoli pick up a win, and they continue to look strong against small teams. Conte continues his dispatch of all the lower teams. Hoyland is firing on all cylinders. KDB's dishing out assists after being proclaimed as finished after one bad game against Milan. Roma pick up a big win against Fiorentina. Fiorentina have been struggling, but that was very much, in my mind, a trap game where Fiorentina have struggled against small teams because Pioli is not giving them any sort of tactic going forward. But sometimes it's easier when you're struggling like that to face a bigger team instead of fall back. But Roma come away with another win. Look, I watched that game. Post crossbar, Gozens misses one that's worse than what David did. So Roma's getting lucky. They're not playing good Gasperini football, but so maybe the math says, okay, the points will come down, but maybe if they now win the ugly ones, and then when the Gasperini football really comes on, they start playing his level of football, maybe the league is on notice. But both their teams are 15, then is Milan at 13. Inter was supposedly dead. They're right there. They pick up another win and they're at 12 points. Juve's at 12 points.
Who supposedly said that? Because it's probably just Twitter, right?
Yes. I base
No,
too many of these statements are absolutely
no.
calcio Twitter that likes to freak out every game week. And then Atalanta is also just 2 points behind, Juve. They've had a plethora of injuries and still managed to get points.
Mm-hmm.
It's obviously not even half the season, but what do we think? In terms of who's the candidate for the Scudetto, who's the favorite, what's the top four looking like, what's the Champions League looking like? Um, Oscar, I know your predictions from early on. Do you want to revise it? Do you think that we maybe push us higher? Or maybe the dark horse are candidates like Roma and Atalanta? Do they come in stronger in your mind?
Revise it. I'm trying to think back of what it was. I think wasn't a Napoli first, Inter second, Milan third, something like that. I mean, yeah, I think most Milan fans are surprised by how well our season is going. Inter slipped up against Juve early on. That's why they're on the table after just we're only at first week in October, but they're behind us. Roma is somewhat surprising. That's probably the ones that surprises me the most. But again, the Gasperini is such a well-seasoned coach in the Serie A. But after being at Atalanta for, was it 8 years, 9 years, something like that, it was always a bit of a question mark whether it was going to gel at Roma. So right now I don't want to revise it, but it's looking very tasty for the next few months for sure.
And how about you, Lex? Who do you think is the Scudetto favorites, and in your mind, who will end up in Champions League?
Oof, I'll keep my same from the beginning of the year, which was Napoli as favorites, Juve second, third I had Roma, fourth Inter, and fifth I had Milan. I mean, I may regret not moving Milan up, I think, but we'll see. I think it's dependent on a lot of things. I think, yeah, my Juve bias is definitely showing a little bit, but I'm also not super convinced by Napoli's depth. I think it's a little bit overrated. But I do think once they get Lukaku back and once Conte figures out McTominay and KDB, then they'll be set, right?
Yeah.
And then like you said about Roma, that's super interesting because I agree with you. I think they have been getting very lucky. It's weird because their stats have been favoring their lack of goals conceded, which is like kind of opposite what you would expect for Gasperini ball. So I agree with you completely, though. It's not like we've seen Gasperini ball really happening at Roma yet. I don't know if that's to be determined or not. So yeah, lots of things it'll depend on.
I think also there are a couple of teams that are perhaps one or two injuries away from having even poorer form. Probably Roma, you probably take Kone if he gets injured, then they might be struggling even more. If you take Modric
Yeah.
or Rabiot for us, we almost had a scare with Mignon, and we thought Leao being injured 15 minutes into a Coppa Italia game in August,
Mm-hmm.
that was going to be tough. But yeah, I think a couple of teams are a lot more dependent on having a fit starting 11. Whilst you see Inter, for example, Thuram wasn't playing, and then Boni comes in, a goal and 3 assists. I'm not sure if teams like Roma and Milan can afford to have injuries to their best players.
Yeah,
True.
I totally agree. I think even Juve, I think, obviously would not wish badly on anyone, but if Yildiz, misses starting to miss a couple weeks, do you have any trust that attack figures it out? You have a lot of question marks, and he's the only one that seems to have a spark. I think what we have going on for us is obviously the lack of European football, playing once a week. Also, for the injury factor is huge, and the stability. Not a lot of teams have that stability. Also on the bench, I feel like Allegri will need to start having very bad results and very long before he starts getting on the hot seat. I think
Mm-hmm.
Tudor starts even drawing a few more times in a bad manners, and that seat is gonna get really hot. Kivu, right now is solid in Inter. I'm sure will continue to do well because it's a well-oiled machine, especially in Italy. But after the Udinese loss, there were some murmurs already. Um, Atalanta can be the same with Juric. I think Roma will be pretty set. Gasperini will have to do pretty bad, I think, to start getting worried. Conte does also have that advantage of they're pretty set. So I like our chances, but in my mind, I don't know who's gonna win it. But Inter and Napoli are guaranteed to be top four, in my mind, with almost certainty. At the beginning of the season, I would have hoped that we were, and I would say that now we have a pretty good chance given what we've seen so far, how we play, how strong our defense is, and playing once a week. And that leaves, again, in my mind, biased mind, one spot for a few. I think Juve squad wise should be that fourth spot. I don't mean fourth as in fourth in the league, but one of the four. Um, but yeah, did not expect Roma to get these results. As I said, if they keep playing like this, and you keep playing the same games over and over and over, you will start getting those draws out of the Fiorentina game. You start getting those losses out of many games they've played. But it's Gasperini. Once he figures out which one between Dovbyk and Ferguson is less terrible, I'm sure they will start. They will
I
start
th-
doing
I
well.
I think I saw a stat about you and Ferguson. He has one league goal in his last 51 league appearances, something like that.
That too.
They have a 40 mil clause to buy him. 40 million.
I was shocked.
That is insane.
Oh,
I
yeah,
was I
sorry. I
was
just want to bring that up because I saw that. I'm
no,
like,
that's
surely
crazy.
that's not right.
Yeah,
Surely ChatGPT is messed up here.
it's insane. Like I was in Rome for the Europa League game that he started. he touched 3 balls. I counted because obviously we had some Irish fans and we were talking also with my cousin there. 3 balls before he got subbed. This is just like long throws. He just kind of heads it. That's his touch. I mean,
Wow.
and look, they're not playing inspired football right now. It's tough for a striker. But Dovbyk has put a goal away. He's looked alive, and he was being forced out. But yes, I'm sure. Yeah, Gasp will figure it out, and then he can get a little bit scary. It looks like Lazio will not be joining the Champions League teams anytime soon. Maybe we can get a word on Pioli just as Milan fans. I feel like he's kind of one of us still. Um, bad still. A little bit unlucky this week. But if we're talking about hot seats, I have to say that in Serie A, his might be the hottest. Maybe it's him. Maybe it's Parma. There's a couple.
Yeah.
Do you think is the first open question to either of you? Do you think is the first to go? And who do we
Record
have?
holder if it does.
Do we have Motta? Fiorentina is a good team. There's good players. There's an interesting bench. It could be a Motta. There could be a Spalletti return. There could be some interesting name. De Rossi, I saw. Do you think he goes? And who would you like to see if he does go?
Go ahead, Oscar.
Me? Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure what Fiorentina fans are thinking. The run of games they're on is just not good at all. Fiorentina had a lot higher aspirations, I think, for this season. I think I even tipped them to be like top 7-ish. I think he might be the first manager to go, and if it's before the end of October, he'll be the fastest to be sacked based on performances rather than any other kind of scandal, if I'm not wrong, in Serie A history. Because I mean, we're only on the 6th of October, and Pioli's we're already talking about the hot seat for Fiorentina, who are what are they, 15th, 16th,
Yeah.
17th even.
17th, I think. So.
Yeah,
Yikes.
that's not good. And
Yeah.
they brought in they kept Kean, which we thought was going to flourish even more this season. He has one league goal, which was this weekend.
Yeah.
So it's not looking good for
Jaco was brought on and seems to be fighting to get a couple minutes here and there. It's questionable.
I think he'll be the first to go. I mean, I don't really see any. I don't think Tudor is safe enough, definitely for now. For example, Kivu the same. I don't think there's any other team really playing as poor as Fiorentina should be.
Yeah, I agree. I think he's definitely got the pressure on him or the Parma coach, as you mentioned. There hasn't been, I feel like, it was an interesting storyline, him coming in, the youngest coach and this and that. But yeah, especially watching Parma just earlier on in the season, it just didn't look promising. So I'm not surprised about that. But Fiorentina, this squad should be doing much better given who they have.
Yeah, and I think that's why it would be interesting to see who comes. By the way, we don't do the preview. Usually we do the review and then the preview of the next game. We'll wait for that since we have the international break. But obviously Milan does play Fiorentina next, and I mean, put the house on Pioli getting his first win against us. I mean, everything you have, go empty the bank account. It's written in the stars. There's no reason to play the game. It will happen.
Don't listen to us. This is financial advice.
This is not financial advice. Don't sue us, please. Yes. I think we can leave it at that. Thank you both for joining us. Thank you to everyone watching all the way through. Again, go absolutely check out Lex on Twitter and Instagram. And if you're still watching this long into the podcast, please drop a like and subscribe. Good luck, Lex, to you and to you for the rest of the season.
Although not much luck, though.
Yeah, not really. Please don't. And Oscar, thank you always for accompanying me. And
thank you, guys. It's been a pleasure.
Have a good night or rest of the day for you, Lex, and Forza Milan.
Thank you very much, Lex.
Thanks for having me.